Sairam everyone. During our last session, we walked through the first few years of Swami's life, his birth and early childhood. Today we will continue listening Swami's life during 1936 to 1940, and Brother Sham is kindly leading this session. Sairam.
Sairam, everybody. Today we shift our attention to the period 1936 to 1940. So let's set the table. In Europe, Hitler marched into new territories, annexed Austria, and pulled the continent into war. By 1940, France had fallen. Britain stood alone. In America, the Great Depression still lingered. Roosevelt's New Deal was rebuilding roads, bridges, and banks, but recovery was uneven. At the 1936 Olympics in Berlin, Jesse Owens won 4 gold medals, and a ragtag Minnesota rowing squad bested the Germans, undercutting Nazi propaganda. Officially, the US stayed out of the war, but looking away was getting harder. In India, the fight for freedom was heating up, but it had problems of its own. Gandhi pushed for non-violence. Subhash Chandra Bose called for a different direct action. Jinnah was already talking about separation. Elsewhere, workers, Dalits, and women were organizing not just for independence, but for land, wages, and dignity. The world was moving fast. But in rural India, change comes like a gentle breeze, hard to notice, easy to miss. As the morning sun rises over Puttaparthi, the village stirs to life in its familiar rhythm. The Chitravati river, often a thin trickle in dry months, remains integral to daily life. Women fill their pots, children play along its banks, cattle graze lazily, their bulls punctuating the stillness. Courtyards are swept, columns drawn, home fires lit, millet cooked. In the fields, men work the soil with wooden plows, tending ragi, jawar, groundnut, and red gram, crops chosen to withstand the region's dry climate. Women carry firewood and water, moving along well-worn paths between home, river, temple, and field. Midday brings a break under coconut palms that stand like sentinels over the precious arable land. Talk drifts to the price of grain, woes with the moneylender, local village gossip, and distant rumblings from the towns. By afternoon, work resumes. Bunds repaired, cattle brought home. Dusk approaches. Cooking fires burn. Evening prayers are recited. Dinner is usually ragi with dal and gonkura, maybe a little buttermilk. Now and then there is excitement, a local fair, a traveling drama, a music troupe passing through, breaking the rhythm of ordinary days. After dark, the village settles in. Hurricane lamps dim. On warm nights, people sleep under the wide open sky. And Sathya is 10 years old. He has already won hearts and minds with his charm, intelligence, and good nature. But to some, he was a whole lot more. Last time, we briefly touched on Sathya's move to Kamalapuram and later Urvakonda. We will return to that shortly. But first, I turn to Malini as she opens our discussion about the people who first formed those deep, special relationships with Sathya.
Om Shri Sai Ram. Thank you for the introduction, Sham. Now let's get started. Sathya Sai Baba emphasized that a true devotee should live in the present, engage in right actions, and strive for spiritual wisdom, seeing God in all and loving all as oneself. Now, let me tell you about 3 people who knew Sathya in his younger days. These 3 knew Swami as Sathya or Raju. These 3 knew him before he declared his avatarhood. The first of these 3 was Subbamma. Subbamma lived a few houses away from where Sathya and his family stayed. She and her husband, the Karanam or the accountant for village, didn't have children. She and Sathya's mother were friends, and they talked about how they would help each other raise their children. Since Subbamma didn't have children of her own, Sathya was raised by both of these women. Here is one instance that Swami narrated about his childhood. Subbamma would sometimes gather all the toddlers on her open terrace in the evening. She would mix the usual dishes of the evening meal and then lovingly feed morsels from the great mix to all of them, including Sathya. Like many Indian mothers do when feeding their children, to coax them to eat an extra mouthful, she would say, "This morsel is for cow, this one is for the crow," and so on. There were other times when Subbamma would call Sathya to the terrace and secretly feed him with savories like pakodas from her window, which overlooked the terrace of the Raju household. During one such secret feeding, as she asked Sathya to open his mouth to pour water into it, Subbamma saw the magnificent spectacle of the entire creation, great celestial bodies revolving on their cosmic course, all amazingly contained inside the little mouth. Subbamma had a fright and was lost in a state of ecstasy for days on end. This was the first time she had a glimpse of this extraordinary side of Sathya, and she clung to little Sathya's feet and washed them with her tears. The next story I want to share is about Sathya's teacher, Mahmud Khan. Once, Sathya was in class and his teacher asked him if he was taking notes from the lesson. Sathya truthfully answered that he didn't need to take notes and he knew what was being taught that day. The teacher lost patience with Sathya and gave him the punishment of standing on the desk for the rest of the class. As the bell was going to ring, the next teacher for the class, Mr. Mahmud Khan, came in. The teacher who punished Sathya tried to stand up, and he was unable to get up from the chair. Mr. Khan asked what happened, and he got the full story from the angry and upset teacher. Mr. Khan loved Sathya and knew that he was extraordinary. He knew that this little boy was divine and very special. He immediately understood the teacher's predicament was caused by the punishment meted to Sathya. Mr. Khan asked the teacher to stop Satya's punishment, and when he did, he was released from his own punishment and released from the chair. Mr. Khan hugged Sathya, and the other teacher left the classroom so the next class would resume. The third divine person to recognize the divinity in Sathya was his own mother, Ishwarama. She was a simple village girl that came from a devout family. When she married, she was loved like a daughter by her mother-in-law and was well loved and taken care of. Sathya was not her first child, and she had been through childbirth previously. Satya's birth was extraordinary, and she knew that he was special from the moment she knew about the child growing inside her. The miracles happening around her were beyond her imagination, but through each act of Sathya, she believed in him and never lost faith. As people questioned his acts, she stood by him. At moments she had doubts, but was able to go inward and find the faith that she sensed innately. She felt his divinity in each breath of her body. These are three people that Swami talks about with so much love, affection, and devotion. He was with them through their entire life and took care of them till their last breath.
After little Sathya completed his primary school education in Puttaparthi, he was sent to Kamalapuram for middle school. Kamalapuram would be the scene of several important incidents in which Swami gave us many lessons on how to live life and which foreshadowed a few major themes of his avataric mission. We can see that even as a young boy, his life has always been his message.
And this was the school in which Swami joined. After completing his primary schooling in Puttaparthi, Swami moved to Kamalapuram. Kamalapuram, which is in the Kadapa district of Andhra Pradesh. Here, Swami was staying with the in-laws of Seshamaraju Garu because Seshamaraju, as I said, he had gone for his teacher's training program. So in this house, Swami used to stay along with his sister-in-law and the family. And from here, Swami attended the middle school in Kamalapuram.
We are all familiar with Swami's famous quote, "Bear all and do nothing. Hear all and say nothing. Give all and take nothing. Serve all and be nothing." This quote perfectly encapsulates Sathya's time in Kamalapuram. His life here was a complete demonstration of how to live the way the quote said. Although he was ostensibly sent to Kamalapuram with his brother Seshamaraju to further his education and to get away from household chores, Sathya lived with his brother's in-laws, and his day began and ended with chores. He was overworked, underfed, deprived, and frankly exploited. And yet he bore all, saying nothing, and gave all, taking nothing. Let me give you a glimpse of what little Sathya endured. Every day, twice a day, this little boy of 9 or 10 years had to fetch water. We take running water for granted and often waste this incredible privilege. But Sathya would trudge 2 kilometers each way to the Penna River and fill earthenware pots with water and trudge back 2 kilometers with this heavy load, getting home by 8:30 or 9 a.m. in the morning. You can imagine the weight of the pots and water together over such a long distance, and over time, the skin of poor Sathya's back became marked with deep bruises from this constant load. In the evening, the same thing was repeated, because how far does this amount of water carry an entire household for all their needs? And so, this little boy literally became a beast of burden. On a human level, in later years, it was so touching to see Swami's love for and empathy with the bullocks that carried, or the buffaloes that carried water for Swami and his entourage at Horsley Hills, an incident where Gita Ram was present and which has been lovingly narrated by her many times. After the morning water run, Swami would have breakfast before going to school. But it was no sumptuous breakfast. It would only consist of yesterday's ragi balls. Ragi is finger millet flour made by grinding the seeds of the finger millet plant. It's rich in nutrients and is a staple food even today in certain sections of society. But that's all little Sathya would have every day. He only had one set of clothes, one shirt, one pair of shorts. Each day after school, Sathya would cover himself with a towel and wash the shirt and shorts and dry them in the sun. And the next day, he would wear the same thing. Of course, with daily use, the cloth would tear in various places, and Sathya did not even have a pin. He would pluck long thorns from plants and hold his clothes together with them. Once again, he was the epitome of bear all and do nothing. Another famous event during that time was the Pushpagiri Fair. All the school children were encouraged to go because it was their chance for seva, as a sort of scout troop. But to do this, they had to wear a khaki uniform. The cost of the trip was also 12 annas, the majority of which would be spent for the bus fare because Pushpagiri was 30 kilometers away. Sathya had neither a uniform nor money for the trip. He didn't tell anyone. But in school there, he had two very close friends named Ramesh and Paresh. Ramesh was the son of a wealthy merchant and knew that Sathya could not afford a khaki uniform. He lovingly asked his father for 2 sets, ostensibly for himself, but left one of the uniforms at Sathya's desk with a note saying, "You are my brother. Please accept this uniform, otherwise I cannot live." When Sathya discovered it, he wrote a note back saying, "There should be no exchange of goods or money between friends. It is a heart-to-heart connection. I cannot accept this. Again, give all and take nothing." When the day of the fair came, the other children implored him to come, but he told them that he had a stomachache so that they would leave him. But after they were gone, Sathya resolved to attend the fair in Pushpagiri. He decided to sell his new-looking textbooks for some money. Another boy offered him 10 annas, but Sathya said he only needed 5. As he came to the house, the coins spilled out. His sister-in-law unfortunately assumed that Sathya had stolen the money and beat poor Sathya. Once again, he had no money, but Sathya did not protest and decided that he would walk. While the bus took 30 kilometers, the distance overland was 11 kilometers. And yet, the small boy bravely set out with nothing, no food, no money, under the hot sun. There was nothing and nobody, no water, no shelter. At last, so thirsty, Sathya came across a trough from which buffalo drank. Unconcerned, he too drank from this trough. When he was almost at the cattle fair at Pushpagiri, he found 2 things, a pack of beedis and 1 anna coin. Immediately, he shredded the beedis so no one would smoke them, a foreshadowing of his constant advice against smoking. He took the anna and walked into the fair. There he saw someone gambling and decided to try in order to get some money. In later years, Swami would say that this was the one mistake he made as the avatar, that no one should feel that just because of his example, they could gamble in order to make money. In Kamalapuram, Sathya truly bore all, gave all, served all, and took nothing. No clothes, no proper food, no money, no comfort. But yet, he showed us how to live a dignified, meaningful life with nothing. In later years, when Swami was surrounded by so much wealth and comfort, he continued to live so simply and then showed us how to live a dignified, meaningful life with everything. We have everything, but find a way to be miserable anyway. He demonstrated that it is not the external state, but the internal one from which happiness and contentment come. In all aspects, especially of his early life, Swami played the part of human to perfection. This incomprehensible divinity was confined in a small human body. But aside from demonstrating integrity, endurance, and self-confidence, he also showed us how to be happy. Despite everything, Sathya was fun-loving and witty, loving and creative. He wrote poems and plays, and each of them were fun and poked gentle fun at people and their habits, but all had a deeper underlying spiritual message. Let's now enjoy one of the most famous of his plays, entertaining but with a hard-hitting and unforgettable message. Here's Cheppinattu Chestara.
The scene opens in a modest home where a lady, seated on a wooden chair, is reading out the Bhagavata to a group of women. Her young son Krishna sits nearby listening attentively.
A housewife must give charity to the deserving, the helpless, the needy, and those who cannot earn for themselves, not to those who are idle and capable of work.
The women nod in agreement. As the session ends, the women disperse, leaving Krishna alone with his mother.
Mother, that was a very wise teaching. We should always help those who truly need it, right?
Yes, my child, that is our duty.
A blind beggar enters, tapping his stick on the ground, pleading for alms.
O kind mother, please have mercy on a poor blind man. I have nothing to eat.
Go away. Don't try to deceive me. You should find some honest work instead of begging.
The beggar sighs and leaves. Shortly after, a hefty mendicant, well dressed and carrying a shiny copper vessel, enters, humming a tune on his richly decorated tambura.
Blessings upon this home. I have travelled far, spreading divine wisdom. May I receive your offerings?
Of course, Holy One. Please, bless us.
Mother, why did you refuse the blind man but gave to this well-fed mendicant? Didn't you just teach that charity should go to the truly needy?
Cheppinattu Chestara? Should we always do as we say? Now stop questioning and help with the chores.
The mother drags Krishna to a room where his father, an upper division clerk, is seated at a desk engrossed in paperwork.
Your son is being impertinent. He questions everything. Can you teach him some discipline?
Krishna, listen carefully. Education is the only path to success. You must study hard, pass your exams, and rise in life. That is how one progress.
A poor schoolboy enters, looking nervous.
Sir, I need 1 rupee for my fees. If I do not pay today, I will be expelled and will not be promoted. Please help me.
I am sorry, my boy. I have no money to spare. Try elsewhere.
The boy leaves sadly. Moments later, a group of clerks enter, holding a subscription appeal.
Sir, we are collecting for a grand welcome dinner for the new officer. It should be a very elegant event.
Absolutely. We must impress him. Here, make it grand.
Father, you said you had no money for the schoolboy, but you gave 20 rupees for a party?
చెప్పినట్లు చేస్తారా?
The school classroom is bustling. The teacher stands before the students, his expression serious.
Tomorrow, the inspector visits. If he asks how many lessons we have done, say 32, not 23. Okay? And tomorrow, I'll teach lesson 33 on Harish Chandra, the king of truth. Remember, do not tell him we already studied it today. Okay?
The students nod fearfully. The class ends and everyone leaves except Krishna.
Teacher, you are teaching about Harish Chandra, the king of truth, yet you ask us to lie? Why?
చెప్పినట్టు చేస్తారా? Should every lesson be followed in action? Go home now.
Krishna's at home the next morning, refusing to get ready for school. His books lie scattered.
Why won't you go to school?
Because everything I learn is only words. If adults don't follow what they teach, why should I study?
His parents are stunned. The teacher arrives, concerned.
Krishna, what's this nonsense? You must study.
Mother teaches charity but gives to the rich, not the needy. Father speaks of hard work but spends on luxury, not necessity. You teach truth but ask us to lie. If learning is just for saying, not doing, why should I learn?
My son, you have taught us today. From now on, we will practice what we preach.
Yes, Krishna. You are our true Guru.
You have shown us our hypocrisy. We must change.
They all bow to Krishna, who smiles, his faith in truth restored. The curtain falls.
Now that was a lot of fun, wasn't it? Kudos to the entire team for putting this fantastic media performance together. I can almost feel Swami's laughter in the background, amused and delighted as he watches the play he wrote around 1938 being brought to life once again here in 2025. But while others are still learning to absorb the message of Chepinittu Chestara, something had already begun shifting within young Sathya. The world still saw a gentle schoolboy, but inside a divine storm was gathering. And to take us to that crucial time, here is Shiva.
Seshamaraju finished his training in Kamalapuram and got a job at Uravakonda as Telugu teacher. Uravakonda was a bigger town. It's a railway junction. The family plan was for Sathya to get a good education, even up to an intermediate level in college, and be in a position to get a government job, a coveted position. So Sathya moved in with his brother and his family. Sathya was very popular in the school, from academics to extracurricular activities, leading the prayer daily at school. He also had a reputation for finding things that were lost, be it a horse or a pen. I encourage you all to read the Satyam Shivam Sundaram, as it gives in great details the incidents in Uravakonda. We need to rewind to March 8, 1940. From the time of this scorpion bite, Baba has said that he himself initiated the process of manifestation, for he could not wait any longer. Playing about as a mere boy with a brother, a sister, classmates, and other secular bonds, he wanted to demonstrate, as he said, that he was beyond both Visha and Vishaya, unaffected by poison or the objective world. There was no scorpion which could sting him. Another incident was on 23rd of May 1940. Satya woke up and started to manifest food, candy, and flowers from nowhere. It was on this day that Pedda Venkaparaju accosted Satya within everyone's hearing. "This is getting too much. It must be stopped." Arming himself with a stick, he moved a step nearer and threatened to beat it out of him. "Are you a god? Or a ghost? Or a madcap? Tell me," he shouted. Prompt came the answer, the announcement that had been held back so long. "I am Sai Baba." Soon after the above incident, on one Thursday, someone challenged Satyanarayana and asked him, "If you are Sai Baba, show us some proof now." Baba replied, "Yes, I shall." And everyone came nearer. "Place in my hands those jasmine flowers," he commanded. It was done. With a quick gesture, he threw them on the floor and said, "Look." They saw that the flowers had formed, while falling, the Telugu letters Sai Baba. It will be seen that Satyanarayana was preparing the people, step by step, for the new era of Sathya Sai. His unconcerned coolness during all that torture at the hands of the sorcerer made everyone feel that he was no ordinary boy, that he was some superior manifestation. Now let us move on to the day before October 20th, 1940, when a group including Satya and Seshamaraju went into the temple of Virupaksha. Satya stood outside and no one pressed him to enter with the others. After a while, the priest waved the flame of camphor before the lingam and asked the pilgrims to see the illuminated shrine because the flame lit up the interior. There, inside the shrine, they saw to their utter amazement Satya. He was standing in place of the lingam, smiling and erect, accepting their pranams. Everything about the boy was so thrilling and unexpected that Seshamaraju wanted to verify whether he had not actually strayed into the shrine, evading everybody's notice. So he hurried outside to find Satya leaning on a wall, staring at the horizon. Now let us move to a hallmark day in the history of the Avatar, October 20th, 1940. Satya woke up and prepared for school as usual. He set out for the house with his school bag. After walking partway to school, Satya suddenly turned around and returned home. Standing on the doorstep of his brother's house, he set down his school books and firmly declared, "I am no longer your Satya, I am Sai." Hearing the commotion, his sister-in-law came from the kitchen and saw what she described as a radiant halo around Satya's head, so dazzling that she was momentarily blinded. Satya then told her, "I'm going. I do not belong to you. Maya has gone. My bhaktas are calling me. I have my work. I cannot stay any longer. Despite her pleadings, Sathya turned and walked away. Seshamaraju, startled by the declaration, tried to understand what was happening. Sathya only repeated, "Give up all your efforts to cure me. I am Sai. I do not consider myself to be related to you." At this point, the local scholar saw the same radiant halo and fell at Sathya's feet. He also heard the profound words, "Maya has left. I am going. My work is waiting." Sathya moved to the garden of the excise inspector's bungalow and sat on a rock under the trees. People from the village, having heard the news, gathered quickly, bringing flowers and fruits. Spontaneously, a bhajan session formed. Sathya taught them the first prayer of his public mission. Manasa bhajare guru charanam, dustara bhavasagar taranam. O mind, worship the feet of the Guru, which will help you cross the difficult ocean of worldly existence. For the next 3 days, Sathya remained in the garden and bhajans continued non-stop. This moment on October 20th, 1940 is remembered as Swami's formal public declaration of his avatarhood, leaving behind his identity as Satyanarayana Raju, a schoolboy, and embracing his role as Sai Baba, the spiritual guide and teacher for the world.
And just like that, in October of 1940, Sathya had taken a step beyond the familiar. With just a gesture, a song, and a silence more powerful than words, a page has turned. For those around him, it was a moment of wonder and uncertainty. Something sacred was unfolding. But what would it mean? But this is not at all the end of a story. It is the beginning of a mission that will reshape lives, melt hearts, and carry light across the world. We will continue next time. Thank you all for walking this path with such care and so much devotion. Sai Ram.
Sairam everyone. During our last session, we walked through the first few years of Swami's life, his birth and early childhood. Today we will continue listening Swami's life during 1936 to 1940, and Brother Sham is kindly leading this session. Sairam. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Sairam.